Luminant luminauts as dark hole stars alike. If you're not ready and willing to experience this meticulously re-articulated doozy, stretch your wings now and head for whichever hills you may have to envision. XYZ PDQ. About this and that. For adherents to mission statements to be as standard carriers of intents about healing ourselves and the life on this planet's call upon its elemental resources. And the life on this planet's call upon elemental resources. In and of processes of balancing wherewithals for thriving and climbing our dives of submerging for a listen of conch and shell to our Yolkic noggin's resiliency to thickening beyond capacities for reverse osmosis juxtapositioning. There are going to be many confluences as well as splits of time spannings as cells we do merge to divide and concur. This is the given ongoing navigations we share of predicament. As for one world government coming to pass, this should be viewed as, in my opinion, a farce of our own governing delusion, as we may be constituents of a many worlds government here, there, and anywhere. A broadening sense of goodwill hunting may lay tracks. Animi personally won't take any other patients first and foremost to these underlying prerogatives at this point of confluential time spans as presently. I have simply been kicked and rebooted into, and of the potencies and potentialities of my own unique particularities of instinctually preservational and commensurate natures that have care for no one, nothing else, save beings falling in line as congruent to these self-supporting divine prerogatives. When reality aligns to facilitate within that congruency, perhaps we or I will have the wherewithal for the patience to free some of these healing methodologies to others we may or may not share in the quantum soup of all that is mindful of soul. Though healing on the whole may be instigated on an individuated basis, the mandala effect has its tenure to fulfill in reciprocate to the mapping of the consecutive returns to Treasure Island for any would-be Johnny Appleseed returning to the marvels of time away from their sovereignly cartographed X markings for spot. Plundered treasuries aside, noting plausibility forecasts of cut for shaft of chase may vary, so refrequent attempts to make sure any of your shipmates comprehend the adage, loose lips sink ships. And that doesn't really go without saying scrap your lists for tomorrow, as any empty bucket may bail us out enough to reach shores before rock bottom. As for betrayals may run back to back through shares if caught up in juxtapositions without one's trusted servitors having proven to be carriers of the eye of the tiger. Loyalty brought to bear through mutual comprehension of the divvies, risk of returns, have procured in both stowaways and cargo, and or are forecast impending of actionated intents. Beyond this, the message for today is how to go about legitimizing the counterweight of choice intuitive realities by formalizations through scientific methodologies to be bringing logic and reason to bear upon the base five senses as so clair sentience may be brought beyond the light of coincidence and into the harmonies of synchronicity. Being sure to have that repertoire to check our maths twice before finalizing our cuts from the shaft, as that death and or reap from decay will bring us to taste the flavor of what changes ensue from applying the formality of those dying measures in the only unassumptive way, tried, tested, and truing to be known by heirs of successful accomplishment. For doing our best with the impeccable words necessary to order the chaos of an environmentally interactive sensitivity at play in universally oriented minds, and or quarantining entropies to pan out at a safe distancing as such, for nothing we do within our environment can be avoided from being taken personally as peer-reviewed for resplendent star qualities by the will struggling to survive on its individuated owns outside our sense of integrating oneness, may be interpersonally personable. This is the carefulness applicable through the doting love and or discerning hate of our works. Perhaps I am otherwise than alone through living in this opinionative wherewithal of being. Oppositions may be grossly fierce and vampirically symbiotic or otherwise. So being vigilant of the underlying veracity of our peers' intentions may be faithfully reviewed for the flavor of gravitas driven behind, through, and before masks through their channelings of veritas. Check back on your tracks recurrently for emotional health of ties, detanglements, and obscurations, be it by oneself or with each to another's. Seek the shade to well in oasis when needed, as to be more likely to survive visitations by those portaling beyond the vanishments of all that may be illusory of laking mirage. Watch with what which doctor may be doctoring your backs. Watch each to another's, and in Circadian turn, be vigilant of your peers. As a reminder from one guide to another and another to one guide, the quote, sometimes no rule is a rule. Be as secure as you can be to find those confident of their courage, whose trust of that two-way street is fortifying, as foreigners slip in through the woodworks, at times oblivious to the accepting consensus upholding what laws may be expectantly granting back to back for strength of community, and stand guard for those who've proven themselves in doing so for you and yours. XYZ PDQ. So much to match and more through gratitudes for the silent evangelic whisperings of their artistries. Beauty through the perception of all that behold, here you are hereby with grace. A consistently gardenable measure of time sharing place and space. As for venom's usefulness in alleviations of hunger pangs, a snake in the grass may be a far bit different than that tiger in your midst, as a shark smelling for the taint of its own blood swimming through the waters of your lives. So may you have choice to stay or steer your faithfulnesses in truing of spirit, loyal to your mutually beneficial causes, and honor goals with your will of intent when it runs dry with and or of your sensitivities to decay, dying, and death. For another, catch-22. Sometimes, no rule is a rule when you're laying down the law. As I promise to make it funny sometimes, it may be up to your discernment or doting in happinesses when I hereby say, joke's on you. Akashawa, au revoir, and for being outgoing, peace out.